Ready?
Good time. Good time. All right. Good evening. I hereby call this regular meeting of the Nacogdoches Independent School District Board of Trustees to order. Let the record show that the entire board is present and that notice of this meeting was posted in accordance with the Open Meeting Act. Please remember that the items don't have to be taken in the order shown, and we would appreciate if you would turn your phones to a silent mode. Thank you for joining us tonight. The board will now conduct an executive closed session to discuss the items posted on our agenda pursuant to the following provisions of the Texas Open Meeting Act and as allowed by Texas Government Code Sections 551.071, 551.072, 551.074, and 551.129. No voting will take place in the closed meeting. Any action the board wishes to take as a result of discussion in closed session will take place after the board reconvenes in open session. It is now 5:01.
I like what you said. The more I think about it, the more I like it.
The board is now reconvening into open session, and the time is 6:03. I've asked Pastor Pitcock to give us our invocation on tonight.
Let us pray. Source of life, thank you for the gift of community. Help us to listen to one another, that we may act with integrity and keep our focus on those we serve. Amen.
Amen. Tonight, we want to welcome and thank Ms. McInnet from Emmeline Carpenter Elementary School. Glad to have you guys. And our students, which will be leading the pledges to the flags tonight. Ms. McInnet, we're in your hand.
Good evening, President Irvin, board members, and, right here. Hey, y'all right here, come here, right here. We have some students who are representing both Carpenter and the Regional Day School of our Deaf and Hard of Hearing, and they are not only going to voice the pledges, but they are also going to use sign language. Wow. So I will let our teachers introduce, and we will.
Hello, my name is Ashley Schmidt. I am a teacher of the deaf at Carpenter Elementary.
Hi, I'm Rachel Lawson. I'm the other deaf education teacher at Carpenter.
My name is Jaden, and I'm in 2nd grade. My name's Emily, and I'm 3rd grade. My name is Mackenzie Jones, and I'm in 4th grade. My name is Jamie Chong. I am 3rd grade.
Do you want to say your name?
I'll say your name.
This is Keelan, and he is in 1st grade.
Please rise. Attention. Salute. Pledge.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, one indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
Thank you, boys and girls.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you again, Ms. McInnet. We will now move to celebration and information items. Dr. Trujillo.
President Irving and board, very exciting information to give you. Next week, our 8th graders from McMichael Middle School will get a chance to learn firsthand about the career and technical programs in Nacogdoches High School from the people who know it best, the Nacogdoches ISD students themselves. The CTE 8th grade showcase is on January the 24th and January 26th, and lets the middle schoolers who will be attending Nacogdoches High School next year visit the Malcolm Rector Center of Advanced Career and Innovations and tour a program fairs where tables will be manned by NHS students. This is important for 8th graders getting ready to move into the high school. NHS offers more than 15 CTE programs, and those pathways can offer certifications and valuable experiences for students interested in moving on to college or directly into the workforce. The showcase is part of a series of meetings next week for both students and parents to make the selection during an early registration period. Want to add that also visiting with our director for CTE, she's actually gone and spent some time this week just to prepare the kids, because based on last year's experience, they came in and they were starstruck. So she wanted to give them a little heads up before they showed up next week, and she's done a tremendous job. Coy, thank you so much for doing that for our middle school, and it's one school, so it was one trip. Nacogdoches High School senior Aiden Finnerud and junior Audrey Bray will perform with the All-State Band February 11th at the Henry B. Gonzalez Convention Center in San Antonio as part of the 2023 Texas Music Educators Association Clinic and Convention. Aiden and Audrey were named to the Class 6A and Class 5A bands, respectively. Last week, for Aiden, it's his third straight All-State honor. Audrey is making her first All-State appearance. The process for Aiden and Audrey began in the fall, included competitions at the district, then the region, and then the area levels. More than 70,000 band students from around Texas entered the competition, and then it was narrowed down to 1,875 that are selected to perform in 18 All-State ensembles. Aiden, trumpet player, will perform with the Class 6A band next month. Audrey plays the clarinet and will perform with the 5A band. Congratulations to both of them, and good luck when they go to San Antonio. Congratulations also goes out to Nacogdoches High School teacher Carla Coffey. She was named the 2022-23 Teacher of the Year for the VFW District 19. She was also selected as the Teacher of the Year by the Nacogdoches VFW and the auxiliary post of 3893. The presentation took place on January 14th at the VFW post in Lufkin. Coffey is a teacher in the Career and Technical Education Department at Nacogdoches High School. A great, one of the great ones that we have of many that are serving our kids in Nacogdoches ISD. With that, President Irving and Board, that's my presentation to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Helio. Mr. Ness.
Thank you all. Good evening, President Irvin, board members, Superintendent Trujillo. Well, here we are once again in January. It's the month when school boards across the state of Texas are recognized for their dedication and commitment to students, teachers, and communities. School boards are designed to serve as the link between the community and the classroom, and trustees are elected to provide or to establish policies that provide the framework for public schools to operate within. In addition to providing leadership and guidance through whatever normal operations look like in this day and age, during the past 3 years, Nacogdoches ISD trustees have signed off on a number of incentives designed to acknowledge the stressful situations NISD teachers and staff have worked under. Those measures have included employment, retention, and attendance stipends that rewarded staff who returned to the district for the 21-22 and 22-23 academic years. Those actions have reflected the board's acknowledgement of the challenges that teachers and all district staff have faced and continue to do so during these times. Now shortly, I'll show a video containing greetings from all of our campuses, and honestly, once again, the process of making this video served as one more reminder that I've got the best job in the district. In each instance, I left with a smile on my face after visiting a classroom or a student group. I also greatly appreciate our principals for setting up the visits, which led, hopefully, to the least amount of disruption to class time. So I'm grateful for that as well. Before starting the video, I would call your attention to a number of items you have received from departments around the school district, as well as a certificate of appreciation from Dr. Audrey Young, who was unable to be here tonight. Dr. Young is our Director of Student Support Services, but she's also the District 8 representative on the State Board of Education, and that's where the certificate comes from. All right, let's see if we can fire up this video.
Baby, don't cry.
Hello, we're McMichael Student Council.
Thank you, United States School Board, for everything you do. Thank you. Hi, I'm Jordan Matheny with the Nettie Marshall Early Childhood Center.
Thank you for everything you do.
Gracias por todo lo que hace.
Lo que hacen. Thank you, NISD School.
My name is Mrs. Dane. I'm a 4th grade teacher at Brooks Quinn Jones Elementary. And my class would like to say,
Thank you, Nacogdoches Board of Trustees.
We are grateful to the NISD School Board for everything they do for our district.
from helping students, faculty, and staff day-to-day operations.
We appreciate you.
I'm Mr. Higgins from Margie Chumley Academy for Success.
Thank you, NISD School Board.
You know, we're grateful for everything you've done.
We're thankful for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gracias. Thank you. We love you. Thank you, board member, for everything you do. Love Carpenter. For all you did, for all you do, for working hard, for being you. We thank you. Thank you. We thank you. We thank you for being the best you can be. For being the best you can be. We thank you. We thank you.
Wow. Y'all want to watch it again, or y'all okay? Thank you, Les. Thank you.
Thank you all very much, and once again, myself and everyone here is grateful for what you all do. Thank you.
Thank you so much. To all of the campuses, thank you. Dr. Hill, we will come now to the public hearing regarding the Texas Academic Performance Report. Dr. Hill. After the presentation, members of the audience, you will have an opportunity to comment. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes, and they must pertain to the TAPER report.
Good evening, President Irvin, board members, and Superintendent Trujillo. I think I want to, next time, if I could go first, because I honestly get teary-eyed now. My nose is running because of the kid video. So, Les, if I could go first next time, and then we do the video afterwards, and that way I could cry over here by myself, I would greatly appreciate that. So forgive me for sniffling into the microphone, but it's going to happen. So thank you all very, very much tonight for the opportunity to visit with you about our 21-22 district annual report. This is something that is required by the state. Just so that you all know, Board of Trustees, you have a copy of the presentation, and some members of the audience, you may have a copy of that as well. And this will be posted on our district website as well as you have some additional information within your board book to support each section. And so what we're giving tonight is just a brief summarization. Dr. Corley and I are going to be splitting this up. I'm going to take section 1, and then Dr. Corley is going to finish us up. But please, if you have a question during the presentation, please stop me and get my attention. And without further ado, we'll go ahead and move on. I do want to take a moment to thank Miss April Grady for putting together this wonderful presentation. She does a wonderful job for us. She did our big one in in August. Sorry, April. And then she did another one this evening. And some of these slides may be duplicated from what you saw in August, but we just wanted to give another brief summary of the information. So thank you again, Ms. Grady. So if you'll remember, and for those of you who are new to us, this particular report is 8 sections in length. Like I say, it is required. We do get a lot of our information from Lead Forward, which is a state organization, but they do keep us intact and on top of things so that we are always in the know. So section 1, as I stated, is what I'm going to be covering tonight, and so it has a lot of information. It covers the TAPER, which is an acronym for the Texas Academic Performance Report. It includes academics, staffing information, student demographic information, and so forth. This is a comprehensive and collective report, and it's not just teaching and learning that really puts it together. It is a combination and a collaborative effort between us, Human Resources, the Business Office, as well as our wonderful PEIMS department and Safety and Student Operations. So just keep in mind that the TAPER is always a year behind from where we are. And I believe it was published in December, if I'm not mistaken. So anybody can see any of this information if they were to go this evening and literally just Google TAPR, and the information will, you might have to do a little bit of a search for Nacogdoches ISD, but it will be there. So when we're looking specifically at Section 1, this information is compiled from TEA, from PEIMS, as well as the student assessment data components. So again, as I stated earlier, it's just got a wide range of information, but also includes disaggregated and aggregated student information. So when we're starting just at the very beginning, just to kind of orient ourselves with it, the cover page includes the accountability rating as well as our student or special education determination status. So our school rating is a C, and then our special education determination status is needs intervention. And there's a slide here in just a moment that we're going to get into that shows a longitudinal of this information. So here is our longitudinal overview beginning in 1819, and you'll see for the 1920 school year, we all remember that was COVID. And then when even a couple of years ago, 2021, the Commissioner of Education declared everybody a state of disaster. So that's where you'll notice that particular column. And then, of course, last year, 21-22, and you just see all of the campuses and their ratings. So just as a note, we are currently in our last phases of preparing everybody for the new STAR redesign, because everybody knows we're going online this year, as well as we have some new item types, and we have been working, or the campuses have been working very diligently, working with their teachers, and in addition with their students to expose them to and orient them to the new format of those assessment items. This particular view that you have in front of you looks at our district accountability ratings beginning in 14-15, as well as our special education determination status. So you'll see for 21-22, as I stated earlier, our district rating is a C, and then our special education is a needs intervention. We do want you to note that we have been working, all of us have been working collaboratively, teaching and learning as well as special education. We did have to write a strategic support plan that has been submitted to Texas Education Agency. It was something that did not have to be board approved, but that is a collaborative effort that we continually engage in conversation about. On this particular slide, it talks about that strategic support plan, an overview of it. You'll note that for the past 5 years, special education students are passing state assessments at a range of 29% to 35.7% in grades 3 through 8 reading, and a range of 9.9 to 23.4% in English 1 and English 2. Just keep in mind that our support plan is looking specifically at reading, and then ELAR 1 and 2 for EOC. It also looks at our SPED disciplinary removal rates. So you'll see a 1920 rate was 94.5. And our current total, or current goal, is 71.3. And so last year was 81.3, so we have a little room to improve there. And continuing on with Section 1, we look at STAR performance. Remember, we look at our 3 performance levels of approaches, meets, and masters. We look at each assessment, or the taper has the each assessment, all grade levels, all subject, as well as all grades by subject. We also look at the academic growth, which are reported for the years of 2022 and 2019. This slide is one you may remember from our August, but it's always a good reminder. It's a line graph. The purple at the top represents the approaches performance level. Meets is second in blue, and then green is in masters. Again, this information can be found directly at texasschools.gov. So if any of you would like to go out and see it, this particular graphic is there. You'll notice that there was an increase in all 3 levels from 21 to 22. This slide looks at growth. So we've just looked at performance. This is specifically at growth. We do see an upward trajectory in reading, 64% to 75. There is a decline in math. That's something that we've known. We're still trying to play catch up because of COVID. We knew we were hit hard in our mathematics area. Section 1 also includes bilingual and English as a second language performance. I'm proud to state that increases at each performance level for the years. And so thank you to Dr. Salceda as well as her ELL specialist who do a wonderful job working with our teachers and our students. They also keep track of our participation rate, meaning, are kids coming to school on the days that we have testing? And so you'll see in 2022, we're looking at a state to region to district comparison. In the year of 2022, we were at the same for our region and a little below the state. I do want to give a shout out to all of our district testing coordinators as well as our attendance personnel, campus principals that do their due diligence to get students on the day of testing, as best they can to come up and take the test. So thank you for their efforts. When we're looking at attendance, graduation, and dropout rates, in the next few slides, just to note, on this next slide, it gets a little busy. We're looking at our 4-year, 5-year, and 6-year extended longitudinal graduation rate. And for our accountability rating, the state looks at the best of 3. So just keep in mind, you've got your legend at the top, and of course, it always compares ourselves to the state. And so, again, proud to note that we were above the state each year. And just as an example of 4-year graduation rate is when a student enters the 9th grade year, they are expected to graduate in 4 years. And so if it's a 5-year, that means they take an additional year. 6-year would be 2 years. When we're looking at our annual dropout rate, we have been consistently lower than the state rate. All right, now we're flipping over, continuing on with our taper. This breaks it up into college, career, military readiness, which is also CCMR. And then we look at related indicators like TSI, CTE coherent sequence, and then there's some other post-secondary indicators that we look at. So we'll go on and move on to our college, career, military readiness. So we did see gains. If you'll look at the lighter green on each of the 3 categories, you do see that we have made gains as compared to the previous year. If we dig a little deeper and talk about TSI, TSI is offered both at the high school, at both high schools, multiple times throughout the school year. We do have SAT School Day, where it's administered during the school day. That is done a couple of times during the year also. Then we're looking at our AP scores. The rate of students of scoring a 3+ on AP exams continues to steadily increase. I'm glad to note that in working with Ms. Barbrick, we were able to pay for students' AP exams this year. So we have seen an increase in their registration I know at one point we were at 80%, but in visiting with Mr. Autry, I believe it was yesterday, he was saying that it has increased even more. So we're super pleased about that, and thank you, Ms. Barbarick, for working with us to help us with that endeavor. This particular slide looks at other post-secondary indicators, which include advanced dual credit course completion. You'll see that the percent of graduates completing dual credit coursework decreased 3.6 points in 2021 as compared to 1920. And then our graduates enrolled in institutions of higher education, there was a 2.4 increase difference between the years 1819 and 1920, comparing the percent of graduates enrolling in a Texas institution of higher education. We continue on and look at 3 different additional categories: student information, which includes enrollment by grade level, ethnicity, certain identifying indicators. We look at staff information as well as some additional program information. So on this particular slide, we wanted to give you a little more substance than on the previous slide. So you'll see that our total enrollment has slightly decreased and not changed much from an ethnicity breakdown. Our ECO-DIS has decreased about 4 points as compared to 2021. And then that bottom table looks at our retention rates for non-special education students. And that one begins, or both of those begin in the 2012-2013 school year. So we've got a lot of good data there to look at. Then we begin to look at student program information, which is just looking, or not just, but looking at our bilingual ESL enrollment, CTE, gifted and talented, special education. You'll note that our bilingual ESL has the highest student enrollment, followed by CTE. And then also special education enrollment has steadily increased year to year. Now we're moving on to staff information and looking at average years of experience of teachers. And that means that they're not necessarily didn't acquire their experience with us. The next slide does that. So you'll see that on average, our teachers have right under 10 years of experience. And then on this side looks at the experience with the district. And you'll see that we're about the same, about 5.7 years, and we've been holding steady for the last couple of years. It also looks at our teacher turnover rate. So you will see a slight increase from 2021 to 21-22, from 21.4% to 24.5%. So I know that's something that Mr. Whitaker and Mr. Martinez and us are constantly looking at.
Thank you, Dr. Hill. This leads us to the next section of the annual report for 21-22, which is section 2 for Payne's Financial Standard Reports. In this section, we have 2 different views, which is the district view and campus views. The unassigned general fund balance for 2021 was $27,574,403, which was 43% of the general fund total budgeted expenditures of $63,629,255. If you're following along in your board book, this is on page 328. You will see a letter is to the administrator address that explains accreditation status for all the districts in the state. This section, section 3, explains that the statuses have not been assigned to districts in the past few years. However, the state will assign the accreditation status for 22-23. Section 4 of the annual report is referenced on page 330 of the board book. This information provides campus improvement plans that are developed and board approved annually. The plan, the goals, and the performance objectives that are in the plans are aligned to district goals, as well as House Bill 3 outcome goals for student performances in reading, math, and college and career readiness. Section 5 reports on violent or criminal incidents. On the next slide, we will view the reportings from school year 21-22. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe this reference is on page 413 of Board Book. And so on this slide, you'll see that there were 14 occurrences that met the criteria for violent or criminal incidences at the high school, which include 1 aggravated assault against a non-employee and 13 felony controlled substance abuse violations. In Section 6, we'll be speaking to student performance in post-secondary institutions. The Texas Education Code requires information for student performance at post-secondary levels, as well as the results for the first year of enrollment after high school graduation. So this is something that's a little bit new, but we're proud to have this data set. The most current data on the following slide represents data from 18-19 graduates. And this information is on page 425 of your board book. And so this shows us the breakdown of both high schools in the district. For Margie Chumley, formerly known as Malcolm Rector Technical High School, 2 students enrolled in a 2-year college, whereas at Nacogdoches High School, the data shows that 75 enrolled in a 4-year university and 71 students enrolled in a 2-year college. In addition, you'll see GPA results that are reported for students that stayed fully enrolled for a whole calendar year. On page 426 of our board book, I introduced Section 7, which is the progress of the district and each campus toward meeting specific goals that have been set. This is aligned to the state overall goal that's called Texas 60 by 30. In fact, one of the big overarching goals is that by 2030, 60% of Texans will either have a certificate or a degree. So to align with that, districts across the state have set goals so that by the year 2030, 60% of our 3rd graders will be at meets grade level or above in reading and in math. As well, we have a goal that states that 60% of our high school seniors will earn a career-ready indicator by that year as well. So here you can see the data sets that is directly related to that. We have district actual results from 21 and 22. We see that campuses made an increase on reading goals. The reading levels are frequently monitored with guided reading opportunities and progress monitored with running records. On the next slide, we're looking at our 3rd grade math results by district and by campus also for school year 21 and school year 22. And then finally, for House Bill 3, we're looking at college and career military readiness. And we're seeing a continual increase from year to year when we look at district and both high schools. And then the final section of the annual report is the TAPER glossary. You'll find that in board book on page 427. It includes terms that's related to the annual report for your reference. All of these resources will be available on our district's website. We post them annually after we have our public hearing. If you have additional questions for us at this time, we'll be glad to open the floor for those. Again, I'd like to extend my thanks to April Grady, our coordinator of compliance and school improvement.
So is there anyone in the audience that would like to make comments on this report? Board members?
I don't have any questions, but I'd like to make a few comments, if I may, because all this information is available, and so I encourage the public to look at the more details and things. And I just want to point out a few things when you're looking at the nitty-gritty of all this. and I'm speaking as a former teacher, education has just changed so much in the last few decades. And one thing that really struck me this time, when I was looking at scores, and you know how they always, they show the state, third grade reading, and you know, all that, and then they show district, and then they show us. And it was shocking to me that every grade level, math and reading, and then when you get up higher, social studies and science, we tend to look at approaching grade level and reaches grade level. You know, we look at those scores. But when you look at how many students statewide are on grade level in reading, math, science, social studies, it is less than half. Things are really crucial, and I'm bringing this up because I'm very pleased that NISD is thinking out of the box. They are not doing things the way it's always been done. They are constantly investigating and trying to figure out new ways and new approaches because something has changed. And it's not just the test. And so I really applaud all you're doing. This doesn't tell the whole picture, but you know, statewide, we've got kids who aren't learning, and that means you go into a classroom as a teacher, a great many of your students aren't even on grade level, much less the ones that, you know, really below. So I wanted to mention that. And I also wanted to bring up the fact that this is something I have always been very proud of, and I think I say it every year. Our high school graduates, we not only have them go to, a good many, go to four-year colleges and do well, but we have students who go to prestigious schools across this country, and we have students who are all around the world and being extremely successful from little bitty Nacogdoches. So this doesn't tell the whole story, but the story is encouraging.
I wanted to say something. I think we've all watched a toddler, and we can see that sometimes they're not so stable when they first start walking. And if you took a video, you could tell, well, he's getting up, he's falling, he's standing up, he's walking, or you can't tell if you just take pictures, whether they're up or down or where they are, except that one moment, that one instant. And I think what these reports show us, and despite all the tragedy and trauma and everything that we've been through, our teachers are being exceptionally effective in reaching the children, all of the children. We don't know, only they know from day to day. I saw this one stand, I saw this one walk, I saw this one fall. And that's disheartening, but yet it's heartening because of what they see. And the administrators and all the support personnel, particularly in the bilingual and the SPED areas, we have exceptional people throughout our whole district. And I want to thank them because every day they're making a difference, not just these numbers, but in individuals that we call NAC ISD Dragons. We are a team.
I'd also like to piggyback on what you said, Ms. Abt, but looking at our students that go to prestigious schools, I think that's great. I think that's awesome. But we have to think about our kids that stay here in our community, like with the CTE program, that are getting internships and getting jobs in the community. That says a lot about NISD and the dedication that our staff have to keep these kids in this community, to raise a family, to get a job, to be productive and to be successful in this community. And that says a lot, because I think that's important, because I know a lot of kids can't get out of Nacogdoches, but if they can stay here and work and be successful, that's also very important. Thank you.
President Irvin, I'd like to add something to this. What's very interesting, and if you'll stick with me just for a little bit, because this might be a little long-winded, but it's necessary. What you saw the presentation today is nothing more than we standing on the scale and you get to see the numbers. It's almost like losing weight. There's a lot of work to get those numbers. And we don't have mediocre teachers. We have amazing teachers. But I will tell you, there's a question that I pose out a lot of times, and it's rhetorical. Would you rather have 30 mediocre teachers and an amazing leader? Or would you like to have 30 amazing teachers and a mediocre leader? I have an answer for you. If you have 30 amazing teachers and a mediocre leader, then every one of those teachers will rise to that expectation. Notice I didn't go the right direction. That means the leader's expectations are lower. They're mediocre. So they will not rise to that. But when you have amazing teachers that are not mediocre, and we have principals that are sitting out here in this audience right now that are not mediocre. They know the work. They know the early mornings, the late nights. It's just like losing weight. You got to commit to it. And the accountability that you have to have with each one of them. So I commend each one of our principals that are in this room. It sounds easy for us to report and really say the teachers are going to do the work that's there, but it's that constant leaning in that our principals are doing, our leaders are doing, and I want to applaud our principals for the work they're doing every single day, finding the best, keeping the best, and holding them all accountable for the best interest of our kids. So kudos to our principals who are out here and those that can't be with us. But it's not just the principals that are out here, it's some support people. It's Dr. Salceda, it's special education with Dr. Young, it's all the folks that are out there that support this in order to meet the needs. It's facilities. Ralph is sitting out there, the comfort that we have our kids. The buildings are open, we're ready to go. We appreciate him. Ms. Thacker for the feeding, making sure the kids get the meals that they have to have. It's a big effort. But I want to make sure I point my finger to one person. And I would make this a disservice because the Commissioner of Education, Mike Morath, is making rounds around the state. Nacogdoches is rolling off his tongue. One specific campus is coming off of his tongue repeatedly. And I haven't really said something publicly, and she's no longer in that role, but I'm going to ask Miss Melinda Weeblow, did she stand up, please, for me? Okay? Because this campus here has constantly been pulled out by Commissioner Morath. Okay? You have to look, if you want to know anything about Fredonia, you go back and look at the data on 2018, 2019, it was an F. And he said it. And boy, I cringed when he said it. Okay? But he said, if you want to see success, and he spotlighted this campus along with several other across the state that reported from 21 to 22, Commissioner Morath for Texas Education Agency says Fredonia Elementary School and Nacogdoches ISD went from an F to a B. And that needs to be applauded, and the room does applaud. But I'm going to tell you that Ms. Weeblow didn't do it alone, because when you look at that campus has 52.5% limited English proficient and a 52% bilingual ESL teachers. So Dr. Salceda, can you stand? Because your support that you provide there for them was tremendously appreciated. Also, I know that Dr. Young isn't here, but I'll have you stand in her place. 16% are special education on that campus. So the support that we have for these. Now, Mr. Z sitting back there real quiet, okay? But I need him to stand up, because the only reason I know he was up there working was because Dr. Young and Dr. Corley were up there working alongside with the team. So these people behind the scenes that were working and doing tremendous, tremendous work. So I wanted to make sure to this board, because our Commissioner of Education is making a spotlight, and I would be doing us a disservice to a former principal that the campus is being redesigned, but we want to recognize that our Commissioner of Education is recognizing in his rounds going across the state to all service centers, and your name, ma'am, of your school is being named for one of those tremendous outcomes for the work that we've done. So a big round of applause to you and the work that the teachers that you.
Awesome.
Thank you, President Irving, for allowing me to share that.
Awesome, thank you. With that, this concludes the public hearing. Tonight, we did not receive any requests to address the board for public comment as outlined in the meeting notice. With that, we'll move to our consent agenda. Unless removed, all items will be acted on with one motion. If there's a board member who wishes to discuss an item on the consent agenda, separately, please indicate the agenda ladder, and it will be set aside for further discussion and a separate vote. If not, Chair would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Mr. President, I know everybody's looking at me, so I move the, would approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
It has been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, the motion is carried unanimously. The board will now conduct another executive closed session to discuss the items posted on our agenda pursuant to the following provisions of the Texas Open Meeting Act and as allowed by the Texas Government Code Sections 551.074 and 551.129. No voting will take place in the closed meeting. Any action the board wishes to take as a result of discussions in closed session will take place after the board reconvenes in open session. It is now 6:49.
Stay up later.
The board will now reconvene into the open session, and it's 7:29. Is there a motion?
Mr. President, regarding Agenda Item 9A1, Superintendent Evaluation, I move that the Nacogdoches Independent School District Board of Trustees approve the evaluation of the superintendent as discussed in closed meeting.
I'll second.
It has been moved and second. Are we ready to vote? Any question? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is carried unanimous. Is there another motion?
Mr. President, regarding the agenda item 9.A.2, Superintendent Contract Renewal Extension, I move that the Nacogdoches Independent School District Board of Trustees extend the contract with the superintendent by approximately 1 year to conclude June 30th, 2026, under the terms discussed in closed meeting, and authorize the board president to sign the contract on behalf of the board.
Thank you.
I second that.
It has been moved and second. Any questions? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is carried unanimously. Is there another motion?
I move that we adjourn. I second.
So be it. Okay.